Joining me now is Delaware State Senator Sarah McBride. Thank you so much for joining me. Really appreciate it, State Senator.
Thanks so much for having me.
We do want to get to the historic nature of your candidacy in just a moment. But first, I want to talk a little bit of policy with you. At the forefront of your campaign, pushing for things like paid family leave, childhood education. I don't have to tell you, we currently have a split Congress. If you were elected and if Democrats were still in the minority, how would you push to get those priorities passed? What would your strategy be?
Well, the reality is that we can never let up in our fight for workers and families, regardless of who controls Congress. But I believe that in 2024, the Democrats will retain control of Congress. They'll retain control of the U.S. Senate, and Joe Biden will be reelected to the White House. And we will have the power to pass the kinds of policies that unfortunately fell out of what was the Build Back Better Act policies, like paid family and medical leave, affordable early childhood education, elder care and home care policies that I've seen in my own life are urgently needed while I served as the caregiver to my husband during his battle with terminal cancer. But regardless of how the election turns out, that can't take away our responsibility to fight for the policies that people need.
Let me ask you about the election. You are running for Congress in Delaware. Of course, that's the state that President Biden once represented for many years. Do you think that President Biden is the strongest and best person to represent Democrats in 2024?
Absolutely. Joe Biden has been an incredible president, just as he was an incredible vice president and before that, senator from Delaware. You know, when Joe Biden set out to run for president and talked about being bold and building bridges all at the same time, a lot of cynical political observers thought that wouldn't be possible. But in his time in office, he's passed the most significant investment in infrastructure since the 1950s. On a bipartisan basis. He passed the most robust gun safety legislation since the 1990s on a bipartisan basis. He also passed the most significant investment in combating climate change in America's history. And so Joe Biden has gotten a lot done, but of course there's more to do. And I believe that he is the best person to lead our ticket. And I look forward to being on that ballot alongside him come 2024.
Let me just follow up with you. You've seen the polls. A significant number of Democrats, members of your own party, have concerns about his ability to serve. What do you say to voters who are concerned about his age and his ability, his agility as well?
Well, first off, I think you don't have to look any further than his first term as president, where he has gotten things done that many thought were impossible. He's demonstrated an energy both in himself and in his ideas that are fresh and new and motivating for people. You know, when I travel up and down the state of Delaware, when I talk to voters here, I think what's keeping people up at night here in Delaware is similar to what's keeping people up at night across the country. And those issues are the issues that Joe Biden is talking about. And so while the Republican Party is going to run as far to the right as possible, while they continue to focus in on culture war issues that don't speak to the issues that are keeping voters up at night, I believe Joe Biden will continue to present an energetic, optimistic, bold vision for this country that speaks to voters and mobilizes voters come 2024.
Well, let me follow up with you on that point. You've said, look, you are not running to be a trans member of Congress. You are running at a moment, though, when 17 states this year alone have passed bills directed at gender-affirming care for transgender youth. There are an increasing number of restrictions for rights across the country. What and how do you see your role in this moment?
Well, as you mentioned, I'm not running just to be the transgender member of Congress. I'm running to be Delaware's member of Congress, focused on all of the issues that matter. But as you point out, this is a critical moment for our country. We are seeing Republican politicians engage in the same kind of strategy they've engaged in for generations, which is to pick a particular community to try to scapegoat and fearmonger around that community in order to distract from the fact that they have absolutely no policy solutions for people across this country. And right now, as they have done with previous communities, they're doing that with the trans community. And I do think that there is needed conversation and education to make sure that voters fully understand the stakes of these issues, the humanity behind these conversations. And I think there's cultural change that can come with an out transgender member of Congress who is thoughtfully and effectively working on all of the issues that matter. And in seeing that, it'll help to diversify people's understanding of who trans people are, which is our greatest weapon against these attacks.
Well, Sarah McBride, I have many more questions for you. Unfortunately, I am out of time, though, and we did cover a lot of ground. Thank you so much for joining me. Really appreciate it.
Thanks for watching our YouTube channel. Follow today's top stories and breaking news by downloading the NBC News app.